you're a fulfillment coach, a speaker, entrepreneur, musician, so much more, man. Thank you again for taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it.
Yes, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm really grateful, and I'm really excited to give our listeners some value today.
Come on. I like to dive right into it, man. So let's go back to early days. What was childhood like for you, man? Did you have positive influences in your life, or how did that look like?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked. I was raised by, my father was a factory worker, right? Yep. And he was like a grinder. He had like three jobs at one time, like doing a bus driver. He was working in a factory, and I forget what the third one he was doing. My mother was a stay-at-home mom for my brother and my sister. And then when it came to me coming around, she went to work. So she was in HR. And I always tell this story that, my dad, I think their intentions as a power couple, right? Like they got married in high school. So they're high school sweethearts, like the old school methodology, right? And so I think their intention was, to be great parents. And my dad would give me, a lot of good speeches, like, what you get out of life, you get out of life what you put into it, these types of things. Yeah. And when I'm like 4th grade, 5th grade, my dad would tell me, like anything you set your mind to, son, like you can be anything you want to do, like you can do that, right? And I'm from Indiana, this small little, farm town. You're from Idaho, so I'm sure you could relate, right? Yeah. And so what's interesting was I started working with my first mentor. And my first mentor was a guy that we hear about, someone who writes a famous song, but the celebrity takes the song and you never hear about the original creator. So when I'm hearing all these messages about I can do anything I set my mind to, I'm in the studio, in his home studio, like making music and taking my poetry. I started writing poetry when I was 5, taking my poetry and putting it to these beats, right? But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just hitting buttons and like making sounds, right? And so I just fell in love with that. And I go to my dad and I was like, Dad, like, I figured out what I'm going to do. Like, I figured out what I'm going to be. And he's like, what, son? Like, tell me, like, what do you want to do? I was like, I'm going to be a musician. And my dad was like, negative. Like, no, like, you cannot do that. And it wasn't like one of those, like, let me use some reverse psychology and, like, get you amped up and tell you you can't. He was serious. Like, you can't. And so early on, my dad we had a very rocky relationship. It was, like, good and bad at times. But he was public enemy number 1. Because I felt like he was against me. I felt like he didn't believe in me. So when I was in high school was the glory years. I grew up with a very unique bunch of male friends that were all masculine, but everybody was like all about swag. And we had all these different color suits. Like I'll send you a photo. It's pretty cool. And so like, we attracted a really cool energy. And being in Indiana, it was a city that was pretty diverse. And it wasn't like you had all these different cliques and all that, and I was never about that. So fast forward high school now, I'm from my senior year, for my government pig project in my class, I sold my teacher, Mr. Weir, on doing a concert for the project, like the final project. And he was like, all right, cool. And so we sold out 1,209 tickets in a 1,200 capacity venue, and I'm 18. So the city's only like 16,000 to 30,000 capacity. So we did like 10% almost of the city. So everybody knew about it. And it was like crazy intense. So I'm like basically locally famous. 18 years old, that goes in my head, didn't make no money, school made 10 grand, right? So I'm still at this time battling the interesting part. My parents were there. My family came in, it's packed. It's like before I came out, right? This is kind of funny, Eric, I gotta tell you. So before I came out, I was, my rap name was Artistic, R-T-I-S-T-I-C.
Okay.
So I'm backstage, I had 2 opening acts, and I hear the crowd, and they're like, and it's like going up in sound like the Gladiator movie. I felt like, are you not entertained? Like that's what I felt like, right?
Yeah.
So you would think, and I still don't understand it to this day. Like I just stopped trying. But you would think that being that my parents were there, that they would be like, okay, let's go do this now. Like he's serious. Like this is real. Yeah. They still didn't want me to do it. So, now fast forward to I'm 22 years old. I'm happy and grateful to an extent because we just had this massive sellout, but I didn't make no money. So your Masterpiece, 50 Cent came out that year, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, all these guys sell drugs and fund their rap careers with drug money. Wow. I didn't want to do that. Not knocking that, but that wasn't for me. So I was like, well, I still need, capital to be able to put into this business. So now fast forward, I'm 22. We do a sophomore concert. It's bigger. It's more PR. We're on like when you go, I went to Ball State University. So when you go to bsu.edu, my face is at the bottom of the screen. Like it's insane. So the capacity of the venue though is 3,300. It's 45 minutes away from where I'm from. How many tickets would you guesstimate we sold?
Man, I would say at least 2,000.
Right. If only. Thank you. Right. 333 tickets out of 3,300, excuse me. So 333 tickets is phenomenal. Like that sells out majority of Austin downtown. Like majority of those clubs sold out. In an auditorium, that's like crickets. And so here I am, like all I want to do is music. I'm experiencing this. People keep coming up to me and they're like after the show, they're like, how was the show? And I was like, you should have effing came. Like I was so bitter. I was so enraged because everybody on campus knew about it. My face is at the bottom of our login portal, like, which was crazy, right?
Yeah.
Drop out of school. And now I'm going to just, like I said, summarize the whole thing so you can kind of see the journey. And we're going to take it really quickly.
Yeah.
I worked for a lot of corporations between 2002 to 2011. So I worked for Google, University of Phoenix, Dish Network, and I sat with the top performers, mastering top performer mindset and psychology when it comes to sales and humans. So I was basically getting a master's degree in human psychology, learning how to, from all these different top performers, how to set that up. 2010, 2011, I worked for University of Phoenix. So I took all that sales skill, and now I was an enrollment counselor. So my role was to not only get the students in, but to then mentor them along the way. So I helped one of my first students, Melissa Briscoe, I'll never forget. She has some amazing challenges. I helped her to get her associate's degree. And so next to that first concert, that was the hugest win I have ever experienced. Like I felt so much like, I just felt so proud of that. Like I was a part of that success, which is how I get into the life coaching now. That was the seed of where life coaching started, right?
Gotcha.
So from 2011 to 2014, I'm still doing, while I'm doing these corporations, I'm still doing events and music and all that on the side, doing that for a company called All Around Entertainment, which I still own. And couldn't figure out just how to scale it. Like didn't have any business knowledge, didn't really know what that was like. 2014, I now start learning about how Facebooks are built, how technology companies are built. I read Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. And when I read that book and all these other ones, I was like, dude, to build one of these companies, it's the same process that it takes to build a musician's brand. Why does the musician side of it, the artist side, pay out way differently? It's the infrastructure and the economy is so, it's one of the hardest businesses to be in, period. Absolutely. So now we're going to fast forward 2014 to 2015. I finally got fed up with music. I was like, I'm done. I put it down, built a couple other businesses, and then it came back. And when it came back, I saw a gap. And this is the last thing I want to share so that everybody's like, they got it. They're like, okay, I get it. I had this idea before Masterclass, before Eric Thomas, and before Peter Vu. And I had this idea as I'm learning about coaching and I'm learning about entrepreneurialism and I got this music background. I was like, man, and this is when Michael Jackson was alive. So that tells you how long ago it was. It was like, man, what if Michael Jackson took all his content, sent everybody a cease and desist letter, right? Put all his content on his own app, did a subscription, and then taught courses on like dancing or whatever. And when I had that idea, my mind was like, like with $1,200 a course on average for an entrepreneur course, and they would probably pay more than that for Michael Jackson. I was like, dude, that's $1 trillion business. Easy. Easy. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm going to build that. And so then Masterclass came out thereafter. Eric Thomas and Peter Vu took their speeches, put it on hip hop beats, called that a mixtape, which is direct hip hop rapper verbiage. And then I was like, man, this edutainment is going to be the next thing. I want to be the face of that. I want to be, the guy that is like the Jeff Bezos of that. And then the last thing I'll say is Elon Musk launched a song last week. I don't know if you saw that. He just did a electro record. I heard it's not really any good. People are now using, their creative talents, matching that to their business talents, and then using that to give them a competitive advantage. So that's what we're doing. And that's pretty much the story up to now.
Wow, man. It's a crazy story, which I love. I mean, it's so awesome to hear that journey and where you're at today. One of the questions I want to ask those, because I was reading on your bio that concert that you had promoted and you only sold like 333 tickets. What is going through your mind before you walk out on stage at that event there?
Rage.
Yeah.
Rage. Yeah, because I could see you have a TV back behind the curtains, right? So I could see out there, even though it's black, I can still see, right? I can also hear. I had one opening act for that show, and she was fantastic. She could play like Alicia Keys and sing like Mariah Carey. She was phenomenal. Phenomenal talent. And so, you know, when she gets done, I can hear how loud the audience cheers, right? So I can hear that sound. Reason why I was so bitter was because, not just because it didn't do well, but it took a year to produce, a year and some change. We had a movie screen drop down to open the show, documentary style video. I had this girl that sounded like Evanescence, like singing the Diamond in the Rough. And it has, I'll send you the photo so you can see this if you want to check it out. Yeah. But it had the album cover, and the girl's like, she's like, diamond in the rough, diamond in the rough, diamond in the rough. And I come in, I gave y'all the best of me. I gave y'all the best of me. And it goes into the savage part, right? Yeah. Right when it goes savage, you hear a glass shatter. When the glass shatters, the album breaks into pieces. Movie screen goes up. 2 spotlights come into this auditorium. We had 2 guy dancers in camouflage on the right, 2 girl dancers in camouflage on the left, and then I come out center stage, like in the audience, and the audience goes crazy. So putting out that kind of production level quality at that age, and then no one come out for it. Dude, I was hurt. And I was hurt because so many people were like, I'm coming. Where I think I went wrong, like looking back on it, Dave Chappelle, this is when Dave Chappelle was at his peak as well. So when he was doing the what and all the like Prince and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So Dave Chappelle came to our college and the ticket price was $22.
Okay.
I was selling my ticket price at $16. So obviously I'm a college student. People are like, I'm not paying $16 to go see a college student that I know, right? So anyway, it was an interesting time, but immediately, I called my dad. I think it was like a week. I called my dad. Let me back up. I had so many people. I'm not talking about 1, 2 person. I'm talking about I'm locally famous again on campus. So now people are coming up to me like, dude, how, like, I mean, this is like a consistent, like 30 person to 50 person a day talking to me about the show while I'm trying to go to class. And so I'm like, okay, I can't take this anymore. I'm still bitter. I'm still enraged. I call my dad, no job, no money. And I'm like, Dad, I'm going to Atlanta. And my dad's like, going to Atlanta? I was like, I'm going to make sure everybody remembers who I am. That's how I was in my ego. I was in my head. I was still hurt. And my dad was like, I think you need to, kind of come home, rebalance, refocus, and get clear. And so that's what I did. Okay. Was dropped out of school immediately. Like went from a 3.2 GPA to 2.7 and dropped out. I was just like, hurt. Wow. Hurt.
One of the things that you and I have in common is it looks like you and I both have worked over 30 jobs in our lifetime. Why do you think you changed jobs so much? I kind of know my idea why I did, but I would love to hear your idea.
I felt there was a few things I felt. I feel like out of all the organizations I worked for, the only manager that I liked and respected was the one at University of Phoenix. Like me and him had a heart-to-heart sit down. It was a really awesome story as well. Yeah. A lot of companies I worked for, I felt like people, just the intentions weren't really about the people. I felt like just a cog in the wheel. Yep. Working with Google, interesting story, not to slander Google, but just real talk. So I sold Google tags when Google Maps was a new thing. Gotcha. And with them specifically, I didn't mind that team, but I was selling so many. They had like I don't know if you remember the little red balloons. They had like an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Yeah. And so I would sell so many of the little tags within that listing that I was like, if they're going to pay $25 a month, like what happens when I sell the whole entire list? Like then you don't stand out anymore. I was like, this product is trash and I can't put myself on any product that lacks integrity. Yep. So when I had that thought, I was out. So it was a mixture of crappy management or crappy leadership. Yeah. Then it was a mixture of products that didn't work. And then the fact that I still was wanting to do me. And so the corporations were really just a financial outlet so I could build the dream anyway. So I think that those 3 things was the reason why I was like negative.
What was that breaking point for you that got you to where you're at today?
Ooh, that's a great question, and it's a loaded question because to me they all lump together as to one big breaking point,
Yeah.
right? Like my dad telling me that, giving me that gift of ferocity,
Right.
really was a key moment because that gave me that hunger and that drive. You know, with Melissa Briscoe getting that degree, that associate's degree, like had that not happened or had I not been at University of Phoenix, I probably wouldn't be a coach now. I
Right.
was very egotistical and in my head and in, you know, just being young and stupid. So,
Right.
you know, those two moments. And then I would say when I like really got into reading, like I hated reading as a kid because I was always reading stuff I didn't like.
Yeah.
So once I got into the appreciation of reading books that like self-development, those three things I think were major breakthroughs because it changed who I am and how I think and who I surround myself with. So those are the three key pillars.
Nice. I mean, today, like you're an inspiration engineer. What does it mean to be an inspiration engineer, man?
So that's a funny story too. I'll try not to go super long with it so we can get to the questions. I was having an experience. So Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and these guys, they would always say like the more skills you have, the more valuable you are to the marketplace.
Yeah.
Which is true. Also though, the more skills you have, the more confused the marketplace is by what you do. So, you know, when you speak a lot of languages, nobody gets confused. If you say, I speak Spanish, English, French, Italian, Mandarin, nobody's like, well, Eric, which one do you speak? You're like, I speak all of them. With skills, they're like, which skill are you? Like, which you told me all your different skills, they don't all go under this, you know, umbrella. Yeah. Which one are you? So as a public speaker, a salesperson, a marketer, you know, audio engineer, singer, writer, rapper, poet, like I'm just naming off a few. Designer, I do design, like there's all these things that I can do. Yeah. Whenever I was around certain people, I would go to the Chamber of Commerce, I would go, you know, wherever, I would change the message to who I was talking to. And I was like, this feels inauthentic. Like I don't like it. Like I just don't like having to be these different personas. And so I finally made a decision. I was like, I'm going to pick up my own title. I'm going to create my own lane. And I came up with 10 different titles that I liked. And then I had my community poll them. Okay. And so they're the ones that showed inspiration, engineer, and how that all came to be. So that's how that worked out.
Come on. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yes.
I love to ask this question, especially to leaders in like this position that you're in, but what is it that makes an extraordinary leader?
I think extraordinary leaders have to have a lot of empathy, and they have to first off love their team. Like when you love your team, I'm not talking about you like your team. I'm talking about you'll go to bat for your team. You'll take a pay cut or a loss just to make sure they win. Right. There's not a lot of managers that will do that. You've got to be able to adapt your leadership style because we're humans, we're not robots. So different people function different ways. You got to be able to adapt. And I tell everybody that my leadership style is big brother. It's like a good big brother because, you know, I'm fun, I'm playful, I hold you accountable, I'll give you a kick in the pants if you need it. We're going to bond in the ways that things that they like to do, right? So I think that a great extraordinary leader needs to have different components to make sure that they know that this person has my best interest at heart, holding them accountable, still having fun in the process, and still being able to get them to execute. Those are the things that I think make an extraordinary leader.
Man, that's awesome. And one of your students actually, in the first year of your coaching, right, she hit $100,000. He did. Okay. He did. Yeah. What was he doing, man? That's awesome that you were able to help him get there.
Yeah. So he was working at Zillow. Okay. And it was a really interesting process. So we had a lot of behavioral assessments. We still do. They give us a lot of data about how your brain functions mechanically. Gotcha. So he has a COO personality profile, which means he's super left brain, which means that he's sequential, he's analytical, he's methodical, like his linear thinking, whereas I'm more of a right brain with I'm aware that I need more left brain like attention, but I'm more right brain. So it took us a while to really come together and gel with my coaching style to how he absorbs. So he would rather me send an email that's like, massively like this, right? Like send a massive email with all the like works cited as to how I arrived at this philosophy and fact checked. And then he's like, okay, I got it. Cauveé got me. But before that, I'm talking audibly because I'm an audible listener and it's going in one ear and out the other. So once we got past that little hurdle, He was with me for 15 months. So for the first 3 months, he was doing, initially he was doing $2,200 base and like a 9 to 12% close ratio. Like he wasn't doing well at all. He was like, I need to do this, get this bread. So after 6 months, he went from 12% to a 15% close ratio. At the 9-month mark, he was at an 18% close ratio. At the 11 to 12-month mark, he was at a 22% close ratio. At the 15-month mark, he was at a 31% close ratio, and he was leading the team in the Northwest Division in Seattle. And that was the very first student that Cauveé created. Cauveé Creative is our education side of our brand, which we're still developing, but he was a part of that functionality of our empire in the education sector and our first student.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How does your faith fit into your life mission?
Oh, I love that question. That's a fantastic question. Everything as a Christian entrepreneur, God, well, I have to be fully honest. So God is meant to be first in everything that I do. I will say this. There's times where I'm just grinding. I'm like, Lord, I forgot to read that devotional, or I forgot to go through that scripture. I ain't going to but I know that it's him that is the key to everything that I do. So being that I know that he's the key, I think that as Christian believers, our goal is to resemble, he's the light, and then his light reflects off us, right? Yep. So I went through a few different Bible plans on the Bible app around like Christian business. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to learn like, okay, what did Jesus say about being a leader, being a businessman? What did he say about wealth? Like there's going back to my dad used to always say, he would always use that scripture about it's easier for a camel to get through an eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. So I grew up thinking like having riches was wrong. Like there's a problem with that. Yeah. And so I spent a lot of time and still do spend a lot of time with the King of Kings to understand that. So understand how he presented wealth, what he said about how we are to be as humans. Yeah. So it's a center and core of everything that we do.
Love it, man. And you just released a brand new single called Give It Time. It's awesome, by the way. Listen to it, man. It's so good. What's the meaning behind that song, man?
Everything about that song is about resilience and patience.
Yeah.
I wrote that song at a time when I was suicidal, actually.
Okay.
And I wanted to, I did a lot of research around other brands, like how long they took. Like Richard Branson was 17 years. Eric Thomas was 20 years, eating out of trash cans. Steve Harvey was 22 years, slept in his car for 3 years. So I was just in my feelings. Like I was like, I'm really in my feelings right now. Mm-hmm. And so Give It Time, when I found that data, then I understood like, this is just a part of the process. Yeah. And so I wanted to put a fun song, not a sad song, but a fun song, fun energy to let people know, like, give it time, because that's what it takes.
Yep. Come on. That's awesome.
Come on. Let's go.
I know we got a few more minutes left, but I wanted to ask some fun questions here for you.
Sure.
I've got these things. They're called pod decks. I'm going to randomly pull one out. We'll see what it says. Sometimes they flop. Sometimes they win. This one says, if you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh. Should I say healthy food, or should I say what I really want? Because it would be pizza. We had a Mercurio's pizza back in Indiana, where I'm from. Okay. Oh, Mercurio's pizza would be the one. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I always love to ask this question to entrepreneurs, especially, but does it take money to make money?
No. It takes resources to make money.
Yes. Yep. I agree. Favorite type of music or favorite band that you have?
Favorite type of music would be R&B.
Okay.
Now it is. And then favorite band, if I got to go with a band, I'm going to shout out one of my buddies I used to work with. They're doing some big things. The Revivalists. Okay. Out of New Orleans. The Revivalists is an amazing band.
I'll have to check them out, man. I love music. I worked for Universal Records way back in the day, man. And so it kind of opened my eyes to all these different genres. I was a big metalhead in high school, big stoner. And, once I got the jump with Universal, like, no, you got to listen to country. You got to listen to R&B and hip hop. And my eyes just opened up, and now it's a vast variety of things I listen to.
That is awesome, bro. I love that. Me too, as variety as well. As a sampler, hip hop sampler, you're always looking for different sounds to give your music like some variety. So we both align on that too.
Yeah, man. Dude, it has been such an honor to have you on my show. This show will blow up. Thank you so much for taking time out of the day, man. This was amazing.
Thank you. I've had a lot of fun. It's been great. You asked some great questions. Man, can I do a shameless plug right quick?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Guys, I am not one of those people that is like too big for his britches, meaning that I can't connect and I don't like to talk. Like, please reach out to me and join our free group, Cauveé's World. So come and join. It's really quick. I'll send you, make sure you have the link. But yeah, come and join with us and commune with us. It's a lot of fun and a lot of energy there as well. Awesome, Eric. Well, I appreciate it again, sir.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging around. Really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more videos from Top Rated MMA and the Bearded Biz Show, please click the playlist and also hit subscribe to our channel. Become part of the Top Rated MMA and Bearded Biz community. We would really appreciate your support. Also, please leave a comment below. I will read and respond to all of them. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.